Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Improve English podcast. I'm Amanda.
And I'm Eric. We're so glad you could join us today for another episode brought to you by Agani Academy.
That's right. Today we have a really important topic, especially for anyone who uses English in their job or for business. We're going to talk all about how to sound polite and, well, effective in business English emails.
Yeah, it's something that, sometimes people don't really think about, but it's super important, right? Professional communication. It's key to building good relationships and getting things done. So we'll dive right into that.
Yeah, absolutely, Eric. When we talk about professional communication, it's not just about getting your message across clearly. It's also really about how you say it, especially in emails.
Right. Think about it. In business, you're often emailing people from different countries, different cultures, even just different departments within the same company. And politeness, it just, makes everything smoother.
Exactly. So, first off, politeness really helps to build rapport. What do we mean by that, Eric?
Well, building rapport means, creating a good relationship, making people feel comfortable with you. If you're polite, people feel respected and they're more likely to want to work with you. It's like building a bridge almost.
That's a great way to put it. And it also, importantly, helps to avoid misunderstandings. Sometimes if you're too direct in English, especially for non-native speakers, it can sound, a little rude, even if you don't mean it that way.
Yeah, exactly. What sounds normal in one language or culture can come across very strong or even aggressive in English. So by using polite language, you're softening your message, making it less likely that someone will take it the wrong way.
And finally, when you're polite, your messages are just received more positively. People are more open to what you're saying, whether it's a request, a suggestion, or even some difficult news. It just creates a better overall feeling, doesn't it?
It really does. It's like people are more willing to help you or consider your point if they feel you've approached them respectfully. So, you see, politeness isn't just about good manners. It's a really effective business strategy, too.
That's so true, Eric. Politeness really is a key strategy. So, moving on from that, how do we actually do that in our emails? How do we make our language sound more polite?
Good question, Amanda. One really useful technique for this is something we call hedging.
Hedging. That sounds like a bit like you're trying to hide something, right? Ah, okay, I get it. So instead of saying, do this now, you might say, could you perhaps do this now? Is that kind of it?
Exactly. You're on the right track. We often use what we call modal verbs for hedging. These are words like could, would, and might. They're super useful. For example, instead of saying, send me the report, which sounds, a bit like an order.
Yeah, that's very direct. Maybe even a little bossy sometimes.
Right. You could say, could you please send me the report? Or even softer, would you mind sending me the report? See how that just changes the feeling?
Oh, definitely. Could you and would you mind just sound so much nicer. It feels like a request, not a demand. What about might?
Good one. Might is also for suggestions or when you're less sure. So instead of this is the best solution, which sounds very firm, you could say this might be the best solution, or it might be a good idea to consider. It leaves room for discussion,
I see. It shows you're open to other ideas too, which is also very polite in business. What about phrases, not just single words?
Oh, yes, there are lots of phrases too. Things like, I think, I believe, it seems, or it appears that. These are great for softening your opinions or observations. So instead of saying, your proposal is too expensive.
Oof, that's really direct. That could upset someone.
Yeah, it could. A polite, hedged version would be, I think your proposal might be a bit too expensive. Or, it seems that the proposal might exceed our budget. You're still giving the same information, but you're doing it in a much gentler way.
That makes so much sense. So direct, you are wrong. Softened, I think you might be mistaken. Or direct, I need this by tomorrow. Softened, would it be possible to have this by tomorrow?
Oh, I like when you have a moment. That adds another layer of politeness, showing you understand they might be busy. So, for example, if I need someone to check something, instead of check this report, I could say, could you please check this report?
Yes, that's perfect.
Or if it's a bit more of an effort, would you mind taking a look at this report when you have a chance? It really makes a difference. Another super useful one is, I was wondering if you could. This one is very gentle and quite indirect.
I was wondering if you could. That sounds really polite. How would I use that in an example?
Let's say you need someone to help with a task. Instead of, help me with this project, which is very direct, you could write, I was wondering if you could help me with this project. It makes it sound like you're exploring the possibility, not just telling them what to do.
I see. So it's like you're asking for their availability or their willingness, rather than just assuming they will. Like, I was wondering if you could possibly arrange a meeting for next week instead of arrange a meeting for next week.
Precisely. Or imagine you want to suggest a new idea. Instead of, we should do this, which can sound a bit, imposing, you could say, I was wondering if we could consider this new approach. It opens up a discussion rather than just stating a command.
That's really clever. It makes your suggestions feel like invitations to collaborate, which is very positive in a team. So to recap, for requests and suggestions, we're really leaning on phrases like, would you mind, could you please, and I was wondering if you could.
Exactly. And remember, sometimes just adding please and thank you can go a long way too. But these indirect phrases just elevate your politeness and make your emails much more effective in getting a positive response. It's about, respect and collaboration.
Eric, that's really useful for requests, but what about when we have to deliver, difficult news or give feedback that isn't entirely positive? How do we stay polite and effective then? It feels even harder.
Oh, that's a fantastic point, Amanda. This is where positive framing comes in, and it's super important. Even when the news isn't great or you need to point out a problem, how you say it really changes how it's received.
So, positive framing, does that mean we just try to, sugarcoat everything?
Not exactly sugarcoating. It means focusing on solutions or expressing things in a way that minimizes negative impact and maintains a good relationship. For example, if you have to say no to something, instead of just, no, we can't do that, you could say, while we appreciate your suggestion, we're not able to pursue that option at this time. Perhaps we could consider X instead.
Ah, I see. So you acknowledge their effort or idea first, then gently decline and maybe offer an alternative. That sounds much better than a direct no. It keeps the door open,
Exactly. It shows respect. Or when you're giving feedback, instead of saying, your report is confusing, which is very blunt and can make someone feel bad, you could say something like, I've read through the report and I think we could make it even clearer by adding more specific details in this section.
Oh, that's good. So you're focusing on improvement, not just criticizing. Even clearer sounds much less negative than confusing. And it uses we, which makes it sound like a team effort.
Precisely. It makes the feedback constructive, not destructive. Another big one is apologizing. Sometimes, we make mistakes and a polite apology is essential. Instead of just, sorry for the delay, which is a bit short, you could say, my apologies for the delay in getting back to you. I've been dealing with a lot of emails today.
Yes, adding a little bit of context can help without over-explaining or making excuses. Like, I sincerely apologize for the oversight. I'm taking steps to ensure it doesn't happen again. That sounds very professional and responsible.
It really does. And finally, when you need to communicate a limitation or a problem, frame it constructively. Instead of, I can't finish this because I don't have the information, which, sounds like blaming, you could say, I've hit a small roadblock with this task because I'm missing some key information. Could you perhaps provide X, or should I proceed with an assumption for now?
Oh, that's smart. You're identifying the problem, but also offering a solution or asking for guidance, rather than just stating a problem and stopping there. It keeps the project moving forward.
Right. It shows you're thinking proactively and you're part of the solution. So, in summary, positive framing is about choosing words that build connections, offer solutions, and maintain a respectful tone, even when discussing difficult things. It's really powerful for building good relationships in business.
Wow, Eric, that was really comprehensive. I mean, we've covered quite a lot today, haven't we? From hedging our language to making those really polite indirect requests, and just now, positive framing.
Yeah, absolutely, Amanda. I think those three main principles are, super important for anyone wanting to sound more polite and, still be effective in their business English emails. It's all about, building good relationships.
Exactly. So just to recap for our listeners, remember to soften your language with hedging, like using could or might or phrases like I think. Then always try to make indirect requests. So instead of a direct command, use would you mind or I was wondering if you could.
Yes, and finally, what we just talked about, positive framing. Even if it's difficult news or feedback, try to frame it constructively. Focus on solutions and maintain that respectful tone. It really does make a huge difference.
So, what's like the final tip for our listeners on how to actually get better at this? Because, hearing it is one thing, but doing it.
That's a great question. My best advice, honestly, is practice. Start small. When you're writing an email, even a simple one, try to consciously apply one of these techniques. Maybe you focus on hedging for a week, then indirect requests the next.
Yeah, that makes sense. Like, don't try to change everything at once. Maybe, rewrite a few of your old emails using these new techniques just to see how they feel. Or maybe even practice with a friend.
Definitely. The more you use these phrases and approaches, the more natural they'll become. And before you know it, you'll be writing polite and effective business emails without even having to think about it. It really helps with confidence too.
Well, that brings us to the end of another episode of the Improve English podcast, brought to you by Agani Academy. It's been really insightful, hasn't it, Eric?
Absolutely, Amanda. I certainly hope our listeners found it helpful and feel more confident about writing polite and effective business English emails. Remember those tips, softening your language and making those indirect requests.
Yeah, and definitely try to apply these tips in your own emails. Practice really makes perfect here, even if it's just one small change at a time.
Right. We really appreciate you tuning in today to the Improve English podcast, brought to you by Agani Academy.
Yes, thank you so much for listening. We can't wait to have you join us next time for more English learning insights and tips. Until then, bye for now.